So you have a podcast as well, which I absolutely love. It's one of my favorites, called Under the Noise.
Yeah.
So as a podcaster, you'll know that sometimes it's hard work. And so I like to get my guests to come on and help me out a bit. So I have a question from a listener, which I would love for you to just answer a little bit. Would you be up
Hey,
to
full disclosure, I hope this is the one you sent me that I could have pondered. Is it the same one that you sent me?
It is, yeah.
Oh, good. That's a relief.
Okay, yeah. So Wyn maybe just revealed that I do send the questions to the guests in advance, which is
I
fine
thought it
for
was
them.
only me that gets the inside track.
No,
Everyone would just been kind to me.
but there's about 50-50 percentage of people that say, no, I don't want to see the question ahead of time. I want to answer fresh in the moment. So so and to the listener that sent this one in, I've shortened it a little bit, which I did ask them just to make it a bit more, not that it wasn't clear. Hey, Siobhan, just read the question. Okay. So dear Wyn, they haven't said this, I'm saying this because they don't know.
I wonder, and I thought, how on earth do they know that?
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. I'm finding it harder and harder to focus. I thought it was anxiety about the tasks, but I see that differently now. I can't seem to concentrate for more than a few minutes on my work, especially. I've heard you say, they mean Siobhan, that thoughts and feelings will come and go, and there are times when I can concentrate with more ease, but they happen too infrequently to keep up with work. Is this even to do with thoughts? It's like I'm not really thinking anything. I just find myself turning away from the computer or getting up when I need to focus. I'd love to hear your initial thoughts on this one, Wyn, because I get a similar kind of focus thing from a lot of people at the moment. Seems to be a bit of a topic. What do you think?
I like that. When I read the question, I thought, well, that sounds a lot like me.
Yeah, I thought that. Me too.
And I'm not, that's not a glib answer to the person who sent that in. That's true, right? The question you asked, well, it's just like, is that thought too? Well, what else could it be? Would be my answer back, right? It just happens to be a distracting thought. So what? We get distracted. I will look away sometimes, and not because of wanting to think hard. Sometimes it is, or think lightly, or see what I want to say fresh about that. But sometimes I get distracted. In the daytime here, if I'm not on camera, then I will gaze out the window to the garden for a bit and just see what birds are on the bird feeder and stuff like that, and squirrels across the fence and stuff. There's no shame in that. It's natural to be distracted. The question then becomes, do we want to follow every distracting thought we ever have? Or probably even more deeper than that would be, do we have to follow every thought we have? And my suggestion would be, none of us do. None of us do follow every thought we've had. Because, I've had thoughts in my life that would mean I would not be able to have this conversation in the free world. I would be in prison.
Yes.
The thoughts that I've had, and I've not acted on them. Okay? So, how dare this person cut me up on the road? I will now chase them. And that's kind of, not frequently, but enough for me to know, yeah, that's a thought I don't follow. Other things, when I'm really angry, really distressed, I don't. I remember vividly in writing a piece, because I mentioned to you before we started recording that I take a writing class, which I'm loving, and I'm 3 years into it now. And in one piece that I wrote last spring, it was about a conversation I was having with myself at 4 a.m. or 2 a.m. or whatever it was. But it was in the middle of the night, and I was having really kind of like dark thoughts about myself. And I thought, well, I'm going to cancel my first call. And it was to your part of the world. It was to Australia. It was to someone in Australia. Well, I'm going to get up at 6, but I'm not going to have that call at 7 because I'm now a mess. I'm going to cancel it. And why would I only cancel one person? I'm going to cancel everybody because I'm clearly not made for this, right? Well, that stuff was in my head. Now, I didn't act on all of that. I had that call when I got up, and it went fine. I just sometimes have thoughts that are just out of whack. I don't follow every one of them. Same for every distracting thought. Sometimes it will say, hey, pen down, go to the grocery shop, you're hungry. And while you're there, why don't you go to town as well? Because I'm pretty sure they've got a sweater that you'd really like to. I can think any of that stuff. And what I do with what I think is totally up to me. And there's a lot of my thoughts that I can recognize as totally frivolous and have got nothing to do with anything. So, I'm pretty sure if I'm wondering what to have for lunch, it will just be, oh, I wonder what I'll make for lunch. And then I'm back to it. Back to whatever task at hand. Or it's just like, wait a minute, I want that. I better take it out of the freezer. All right, 30 seconds and I'm back. There's nothing wrong in having a thought that's distracting at all. To me, that's the sign of a healthy mind. Apparently, to the people who've counted how many changes of thought we have, the average human has in an average day, it's somewhere between 60,000 and 130,000 changes of thought we have in a 24-hour period. So you're healthy if you've got distracting thoughts. Don't always have to follow them, though. That would be what I'd say instantly to that question.
Yeah, I really love what you're saying there. Yeah, I definitely heard something in that for myself because, like I said before, yeah, me too. Get distracted all the time. I've also found there's something about, and maybe this won't come out quite right, but to me, there's a when a thought almost feels legitimate, it's like I pay more attention to it or find it not as easy to see it just as thought. So an example of that was many years ago when I had problems with alcohol, I would say, and would drink too much. But if I had a thought to like, say if I got up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom, and if I thought, oh, I'd have a thought like, oh, I could just have a drink now. I'd immediately be like, no, you won't. It's the middle of the night. You're going back to bed. Like it would just be non-contextual. But if it was like 4:30 p.m. the following day, it felt like it was okay. And the reason I say that to people is that we are rather bombarded with messages from the media about the distraction crisis and how we can only focus for 47 seconds. Like that was a stat that I read the other day. So just kind of being aware maybe of these other things that we see, which are kind of saying, of course you're going to be distracted. It's almost like maybe we expect that. So then if this person is finding that they are distracted, they're like, oh, well, I've got this distraction epidemic illness thing that everyone seems to have. Yeah.
So that's something that it reminded me of something that I've often found useful for myself to remember. We have a thought and then we make a meaning up out of it. I'm distracted, which means that, wait a minute, that's less than 47 seconds. That's less than normal. Now there's something really distracting about me, right? I do have that syndrome that I saw on TV the other day. Geez, I bet that. Now, all that time, all we're doing is thinking about thinking. And thinking that there's meaning into it. And it's just all arbitrary, which is what you pointed at. So, getting up to use the restroom and, the bathroom at 4 o'clock in the morning, thinking, I'm not going to listen to that thought now about, having a drink. Yeah. 4:30, hey, legit, same thought. Just make up a different meaning of it, depending on the time. But it's still, we're making up the meaning all the time about everything. So, to me, that's been really useful to notice that I am a meaning-making machine. That's what we are as human beings. and I can make any meaning out of anything, but it doesn't mean that what I mean is true. I'm just making it all up.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, and I feel once you do see that a little bit, like you said about making the invisible visible, as in that we are these incessant meaning making machines, seeing more around that, in my experience, which is amazing, it kind of starts to let the dominoes fall, I guess. Like once you see it a few times, you can start to see it everywhere, which is brilliant.
And what's also possible, right? This is from someone who used to take, as I've said, life risk, especially his own and himself, is that I can find it so amusing what I can make up. Even the dark stuff, it's just like, look what I can make up. Jeez, I mean, you could make a movie out of that. You can make a book out of that. You can do anything with it. And here I am in my own head, making up all of these weird meanings up, all of it. And what an imaginative example of a human being, which is 8 billion of us living in the same version of how we work.
Yeah, I love that. Like we have this incredible, astonishing gift of literally infinite imagination, and we spend so much of our time being like, oh look, I can't get on with my work for 10 minutes, and we spend our time there rather than in the infinite creativity, which then we indulge in at 4 a.m. So during the day we stay in our rigid, I can't work thoughts, or I can't do this, or I can't do that. And then we wait till 4 a.m. where we can imagine all the doom-filled possibilities that will befall us.